Economic Development Committee meeting will come to order. All members are present. First item on the agenda is item 23, a resolution approving an amendment to the terms and conditions of a $50,000 in-store forgivable economic development loan to National Properties at 9242 West National.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, Patrick, this is just moving us from first to second, right? The collateral?
They're refinancing the property, they've renovated all the apartments on the second floor that were old offices, converted to residential, and the owner of the property has 1/3 of the first floor area and then leasing the balance. So the renovation is complete, they're refinancing the property, trying to, take some equity out of it, and it does reduce us down potentially to second or third division.
Thank you.
They've done all the work associated with the
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 24 is a resolution approving the terms and conditions for an economic development loan to Fire Cycle Fitness located at 1478-82 South 84th Street under the National Avenue Commercial Corridor in-store forgivable loan program in an amount up to $50,000.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 25 on the agenda is a resolution approving the terms and conditions for an economic development loan to Twisted Plants, doing business as Twisted Plants, to be located at 6202 West Lincoln, under the National Avenue Commercial Corridor in-store forgivable loan program in an amount up to $50,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval. Any discussion? All in favor?
Chair? Can I just add, this is a prospect that we've worked with for a while, and if you're familiar with the property, I just wanted to call it out. 6202 West Lincoln, the old Fratelli's, it's probably been vacant for 7 years.
long time, yeah.
And, seeing a business like this, they have a relative that lives in the neighborhood, they got interested in the property, they know a number of our local businesses, and I just want to speak highly of the neighbors, businesses that did talk to them, provided ideas and input, et cetera, to their planning. The financing, to get this done, it took alternative type of financing. The Hmong Chamber of Commerce, a partner of ours, stood up and provided the financing, so, and also building inspection to come out and help navigate the property since it was vacant for so long.
Oh, I
We had
bet.
to get the water back on, the power. It wasn't just, hey, put an offer on the property. We had to get some things done to be able to get to that level. And I do want to thank Milwaukee County for being patient as we try to get this deal to come together, because it was on the foreclosure list.
Did we vote on this?
Yeah, it's been,
Did we vote on this? No.
No, we haven't voted yet.
No. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 26 on the agenda is a resolution approving the purchase and sale agreement and development agreement between the Community Development Authority of the City of West Dallas and Makers Row QOZB for commercial development within the 6 Point Farmers Market redevelopment area south of National Avenue redevelopment.
Move to approve.
second.
Moved and seconded for approval. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, a
Alderman-
question for Patrick. At the last CDA meeting, we had asked about one item to be struck from that allowed uses in there, and the developer agreed to that.
Yes, we've removed both nicotine and donation centers from the permitted uses.
Okay.
Just for everyone's knowledge, within the development agreement, part of the stipulations is that we are restricting certain uses. And Makers Row was to become a food, beverage type of cluster. So the idea was, okay, if that doesn't work in 10 years, what else could go there? So if he gets to 90% occupancy, the floor square footage is only 90% occupied, then he can look at some alternative uses. So there's a list that what that is, and then if it dips to 80%, then it expands a little bit. But we remove those two uses from that list per the direction of the CDA.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 27 on your agenda is a resolution authorizing loan of up to $212,000 to Element 84 LLC for the build-out of a commercial space at 1468 South 84th Street, located within Element 84.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Michael?
Again, this is not a forgivable loan. This is just a straight-up loan to help them build out their space in there for their tenants.
We charge an origination fee
Is that recorded?
4% interest
Yeah.
amortized over the remaining years of the TIF, and it's paid back either monthly, or I think we structured it as going to an annual amortization, and that's paid in conjunction with their tax bill.
Okay.
And prior to any other payment to the developer incentive on the site. The big thing is getting the space built out so that a business can occupy that space.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And item 28 on the agenda is a new Class B license application for Lucky 7 Westellis LLC, doing business as Lucky 7, 9127 West Lincoln, agent Izagum Abbas. Want to come up here?
You can come.
Mr. Abbas, you're applying for a Class A beer license only, correct? And I see your operation, you're gonna close at 10 in the evening, right?
Yep.
Have you run an establishment with a liquor license before?
Not the liquor license before.
Are you familiar with the liquor
Yes.
laws?
Yes.
Make sure
No
that,
serving after 9 p.m.
Yep.
No selling.
Yep.
Sorry, Tom. I'll stop interrupting you.
and there's, make sure that you card check IDs.
Yes.
Our police officers do go around and do checks, so they're gonna be double checking you,
Sure. Yeah, I'm here. But
especially at first, when you first open up,
yeah.
they're gonna be watching you for a while.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Anybody have any?
how many coolers do you plan to have with beer?
The beer is like 6 to 8. Six to eight door.
6 to 8 doors?
I should be open 7 days a week, right?
7 days.
7 days, yeah. Yeah, from 6 AM to 10 PM.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, this comes to us as a new license, but there's already an establishment there that's selling beer, or is there not? And,
Yeah, there is. They're selling. They're open. I'm just taking that place.
and you're taking
Yeah,
over.
taking
Yeah.
over, and there's no quote on beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, really, whether it's new or not is not material.
Right.
Well, Mr. Chair, Alderman Haas raises an interesting question. They're not moving the current license there to a different location. You're taking over the business,
Yes.
and you're leasing, I assume. You're renting the space, or you okay? And so you're taking over their business essentially. Okay, so this isn't. So this really is kind of just a transfer from one business to another. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
I move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you also.
Good luck.
Thank you.
You have a nice, pretty street out in front of you now.
Yes.
Can
It's
Avenue.
Thank you.
That's open finally.
Finally. If there's no further, anything else?
Move we adjourn.
Before the committee?
Second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
All right, and now the administration committee will come to order. And item 21 is a communication from the city comptroller regarding the results of the 2022 operations. Jason. Jason, how many titles do you have? It's finance director,
You know,
comptroller.
thankfully, I only have the two.
Okay.
Previously, it was finance director, comptroller, treasurer. So, no interest in making that any longer at this point. So, all of you should have received a memo that I sent out. If you guys have any questions on that at any time, please feel free to reach out to me or to the department heads directly. But what I did do for today is just kind of put together a slideshow, just very high level. I know you guys have looked at this information, but just for the benefit of the public, where this will be posted with the agenda as well, just wanted to go through some highlights for 2022. This is specific to our general operating fund. We have many funds. The utilities are separate. It's only the general operating fund, which is like police, fire, development, the administration, DPW, things like that. So highlights include, ending the year better than we budgeted, better than expected. Ultimately, we increased our fund balance cash reserves slightly. And also good news, you know how we do the capital budget, we kind of put a line item in there that says, we want to fund X amount with carryover. Thankfully, we have enough carryover to fund that completely. This is the breakdown of where we ended up for the year. Total surplus of $5.3 million. You can see the breakdown between revenues and expenditures. A little bit higher in revenues, and then $4 million under budget in expenditures. And then I just have a couple slides that will just go in a little bit of detail on that. Just talking about our fund balance. Moody's finds our fund balance important. They look at that every time we have a bond rating. Our beginning fund balance was $44.9 million, and doing the math, we had that $100,000 that we added ultimately to the fund balance after we transferred surplus generally to the capital projects funds. So we ended the year with $45 million in fund reserve. The breakdown of that $45 million is into three different categories. Non-spendable at $1.3 million is basically represents prepaid expenses and receivables. Then there's about $17 million that has been assigned by council throughout the years that sits there for numerous purposes. And then finally, we're left with almost $27 million unassigned fund balance, and that's the key one right there. Ellers recommends 5 to 6 months of next year's budget. We're just shy of that 5-month mark. So I think we're healthy, and that's the part that Moody's looks at and gives us a favorable rating. They literally write that in their write-up for us every year. And then I just wanted to go over some of the bigger variances that we had to budget last year. I want to point out that there's 1,700 accounts, active accounts in the general fund. So this is very high level. Just looking at revenues, top one, that's the biggest shock. I mean, it's to our favor. But in 2021, we had $200,000 in interest income. The market tanked. I asked a lot of people where it was going to go in the upcoming years, and nobody wanted to offer any advice. So everyone guessed, and ultimately we ended $1.8 million greater than our $300,000 budget. So that is a significant factor in the higher surplus that we have this year. Can we bank on that for next year? Probably not. But it is nice to have, and that's going to help keep borrowing down for the capital projects. I mentioned this in previous meetings, but the ambulance billings are higher because Medicare is paying a higher percentage than they used to. That was reflected in the 2023 budget as well. But the one standout under budget here is our pilot payments. I know you guys are aware that we had the hospital challenge their valuation, which led to we lost that challenge. We had to refund some money, and we're expecting about $250,000 less annually because of that challenge. And then moving on to some expenditures, this slide lists some of the bigger, I guess we'll call it savings, expenditures under budget. Public Works, year over year, tends to be under budget. I feel bad for them. They struggle to be fully staffed every year, and that ultimately led to $1.8 million in savings. The police department was $750,000 under budget. Again, it's with personnel. They aren't able to be fully staffed. They did have some overages in other areas, but overall, they were still $750,000 under budget. And then lastly, I kind of combine these two, same concept. Planning and engineering under budget, 460,000, unfilled positions. So we all know the market has been tough, and it is tough, and it's definitely reflected here. And then some overages that we have. So the biggest overage by department that we have is with the fire department. They had a handful of unexpected vacancies this year that ultimately left them backfilling with overtime, which is significantly more expensive. And then retiree benefits is something that doesn't come out of their department. That's something that finance puts together. We kind of changed the way we allocate retiree benefits in a more detailed way, and that led to $105,000 over budget. The next item down is the general city expense. It's like Department 88. You guys are well aware that we lost a few tax appeals in 2022. That's what caused that overage. And then I was hesitant to put this last one on there, but it shows on paper. The clerk's office shows $50,000 over. Essentially what's happening there is employees are fully budgeted in their own departments, and as they volunteer to work the election, we need to keep track of that cost. The cost actually ends up in the clerk's department. We don't know which departments are going to volunteer or how much, and so it shows as over, but ultimately that really is a budgeted amount. The supplies in the department were over. I put that in there, $15,000 for election supplies.
Jason, that brings me to a question. I sure appreciate our city employees who volunteer to help out on elections and spend a day working at elections. Our city employees who do election work, are they paid just their regular city salary for that day that they're doing the election work, or are they also paid an election worker wage for the one day? How does that work?
We just get our regular salary.
Yeah. Which is even better, which is even more a reason to be thankful for our employees who volunteer to do elections.
Yep, they take time out of their busy schedules to accommodate. I mean, it's an important thing that we do.
For sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I mean, I have a questions about the overtime over cost of the fire department, you know. What's the real reason that we incur so much overtime in the fire department?
Mr. Armando is back here. He's volunteering to answer that question.
Yeah, so we unfortunately we had 4 unexpected long-term injuries that created a lot of overtime, and they were long-term most of the duration of the year.
Yeah.
And two other people that had gone out on a disability ended up retiring, and those three people are now back to work. So we don't expect to have that type of overage also, carrying into this next year. We are also waiting on our reimbursement from federal monies for our COVID relief, some of our COVID relief funds that would cover, and then some, the amount of money that was lost in that. So unfortunately, we did have some people go out that wasn't expected, but it has righted itself, and we are hiring now. So we have 2 people in an academy right now. So,
Yay.
yeah.
So that number probably will be reduced the following year, right? I mean,
I sure would hope so. We don't want anybody else to get hurt. Yeah.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Armando. Chief Pooler isn't here, and you fill in, and you're still in the hot seat.
Yeah.
You did fine, so thank you.
You told me to come. You thought that we'd be talking about it.
Well, and that ends my presentation. There's nothing to
Jason?
approve. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Well, we do need to place this on file, so can I have a,
Placed on file.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That item is placed on file, and that is all that is on our agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'll
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Chairman,
Yeah.
Quick.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, thank you.